Alright folks, welcome back to the next installment of this F350 flatbed, let's call it a restoration. It sure as hell ain't a paint job. Doors off, because it needs door pins, and I want to do this before I body work the doors. So you can see I've already done this side, just got them fitted up there. And I'll show you what you need. These are the pins. Let's see. They say Ford on them, but there's the part number 38410. These are a Dorman product. Usually find them at your auto parts store in the help rack. You can actually buy them online. They're easy to find. All it is a pin, an E-clip, and those two bushings. And what happens with these, most of the time people grab the door when they're getting in and out, and I don't know where the I don't know where the other bush or other door bracket is, but you can see the bushing in the bottom one is in the movable part. The bushing in the top one is also in the, or I'm sorry, it's in the hinge part on the side of the truck. The movable part just holds the knurled part of the pin. And I'll show you the other side so you get an idea, and we're going to do the other side together. But the factory pins, you have to drill off the head and knock them out with a punch. And if they are oblong because the bushing wore completely out, like the bushing, the knurled part has to sit in up here. You hear that little bit of play? Well, that little bit up there equates to a lot of noise up in the door. So you want to probably look in there, this one where it's wore out, put a dot of weld on each side and test fit the pin. You might have to take a file and file it, but you want this pin to fit tight in the top, in the knurled part, and in the bottom. Look how wallowed out that bottom is. There's no bushing that goes in this part. The bushing actually goes in the part that you flip back and forth. I'll see if I can, oh, here it is, because it's got the part that makes the door stay open, the door catch, if you will, the little spring steel inside there. But those bushings fit tight in there, and what happened most likely with this one from grabbing the door, getting in, truck had West Coast mirrors on it, this top bushing broke or froze up onto the pin, and then this started spinning inside the door and it wore those spots out. So let's go take a look at the other side. And I'm going to pause this several times through the video so you can see what exactly transpires. So it's easier to do. I have the fenders off because I'm replacing the fenders, but if you don't have the fenders off, you look, got the inner door panel off, and here's the speaker wire. Maybe it has power windows, locks, that sort of thing. Unplug all that stuff and pull that boot out of the door. And then, it's kind of hard to see, but there's the top, there's the top of the pin right there. You have to, this is a passenger side, you actually have to drill the bottom. And it's hard to get to without taking the door off first. And what I like to do, I don't want to mess up the alignment of the door up and down, but what I will do is unbolt the hinge from just the door, not from the hinge pillar, and that way all you're doing is messing up this angle. And really, if you look at it, I mean, it's flush all the way around here, and you look, you know, it's flush to the rocker, and that's all you have to do is line that back up. Now there's plenty of adjustment in it. If you want to put a fender on later and adjust it, that's fine too. But for all intents and purposes, we're just changing pins right now. So we're going to take out, to make it easier, we're going to take out 2 and then 2 on the bottom. We're going to take those bolts out, and then I'll show you once I got the door off what we're working with. All right, the door's off. You can do this one person. I suggest 2 people, somebody to hold the door handle while you're pulling the bolts out. These doors are not terribly heavy. Excuse me. You can look, might be hard to see, but there is a little indent in there where these pins were kind of riveted over or swaged over to hold them in, you just take, I use a 5/16 drill bit, and just drill as much of the swaged part off. And then you can take a punch and punch it out. I'm gonna drill them off camera, because you guys don't need to watch me drill those. We'll drill them off real quick, and then I'll show you punching them out, and then we'll bring you back later. All right, I already got the bottom one out, but I wanted to show you. Basically, you take a punch. I grab a little bit bigger hammer. You want to make sure all of the rivet is off of the outside where it's peened over. This is kind of difficult because that's in the way, but driver's side's easier. I've got it that high, and the problem I'll run into is that punch is too big to fit up through the hole, so I'll just grab that with a pair of channel locks and smack it with a hammer, and you'll have your pin out. There you go. I probably could have done a little bit better job of cutting the end of that pin off, but you get the idea. Whoa. That pin goes through the end of the bushing, and the bushings are getting replaced anyway, so we don't really care. You just don't want to force it too hard. You can use an air hammer on them if you're careful, but again, that's how you get them off. And then the other side is just reverse of removal. Take you guys over there. Basically all I did was clean up the hinges and drop the bushings in them. But like the top piece right here, basically just take your bushings out. Ooh. There you go. You just want to note whether the bushings were in the door side part of the hinge or the truck side part of the hinge, and put them in the exact same way. It might be hard to tell if the flange is ground off of them, but in the driver's side, the top hinge did go in the truck side. And then you just give that a tap down to set the knurl in there so they're tight. Just like that. This one hasn't been tapped down, and that upper hole needs a little weld in it. But then I don't know if you can see the little groove in there. Once you tap that all the way through, you can see it on the top. You put your C-clip in that groove, and that's it. Bolt your door back up and adjust it. So I'll show you once I get a set of door, or at least one of the doors put back on, so you can see how nice and tight it is. Alright, I've set the door back on there, and I'll show you what I did. This is how I know it's in the same place. You can just see where the paint mark lines up. I moved it a little bit, but I made sure the bolt heads covered the bare spot the best I could. The door fits nice, and I'll show you how tight the pins are now. I don't have them driven down in there because that's how I'm going to take the door back off. I'm just going to pop the pins. And then you grab the door, and it's moving the whole truck. So they're nice and tight. And again, you can fiddle with adjustment all you want, but this door is going to get painted. So I want to kind of get it adjusted now and then just pop the pins and put the pins back in it to rehang the door. So that's it for now.